Hey, it's Dave. It's been a while. Actually, it hasn't been that long. It's only been a few weeks. What I want to talk about this morning is the application of arpeggios and scales as it relates to playing them over a song or applying them over a song. We practice all of these things. Now, what do we do with them? I guess this morning we're going to explore that. So we needed a vehicle to do this. So I'm going to use this song called I've Got Friends in Low Places. It's a Garth Brooks song. It's a really popular song. It's probably going to get called if you're in a wedding band or some situation like that. It's simple, and it has a diminished chord in it. So, hey, it's something interesting to play over. So I'm just going to attempt to way overplay over this. And I definitely wouldn't normally play this song this way. But I'm going to go ahead and do that just to try to develop as many ideas as I can between chord changes, and then we can talk about those things. Keep in mind that you wouldn't want to play this song this way. Maybe you would use one or two of these ideas in the playing of the whole song, but not on every chord. So we'll see what happens here. Copy a solo. Right, we'll stop there. So that was a little way over the top for what you should be playing on that song. And if I was to play through that again, I could I could probably come up with 5 or 6 different versions of that same verse right now. And the way I would do that is by utilizing these ideas that we've been talking about, but learning the scales and the arpeggios that go along with every song. So as we analyze that song, the first chord's A major, the second chord's B flat diminished, and then B minor 7th. So what can we play over those chords, right? Keeping in mind that whatever we're playing has to transition into the next chord, right? So that's one of the things, if you work on playing walking bass lines in jazz, that's one of the things is you're learning how to get to transition notes. Well, it's the same thing. So we look at that A major chord, right? So we've got that chord. We've got the A major scale that goes over. We've got the A major pentatonic that goes over it. So we can use those different tools to come up with different ideas on what we can play over that. So one thing we do notice is between that A and that B flat diminished, there's a relationship between those two chords. A major, B flat diminished, they both share the root, or they both share the third and the fifth. notes. So that D flat and E is common to both chords. So I think maybe the first time I played that through, I did something like that. I exploited that idea. There's just one note difference between those two chords. Then we get to the B minor, and now we can play the arpeggio, we can play the B minor scale, we can play the B minor pentatonic if that suits our fancy. And what we do is in practicing this song, after we've learned the chords, what we do is we take those tools of knowing the arpeggio and knowing the scale that goes with those notes, and we just sit here and work out different ways to transition between those chords. You just work it out in practice, and that way, when you play it live, it looks like you improvised it, right? A lot of people, and of course, I've often wondered about improvising, but the one thing that I've come to realize is I rarely actually ever improvise anything. Well, what that means is when I'm playing, I rarely come up with some brand new thing I've never practiced before while I'm playing. Most of the time, when I'm improvising, what I'm doing is I'm regurgitating different ideas I've already worked out, right? So as we practice these sorts of things and we come up with different ideas, we put those ideas in a toolbox, basically. So, maybe between each chord, so that A major to B flat diminished, one time I played it, I used a double stop, right? That's because I noticed when I was playing, that's one of the things I could play over a diminished chord was a double stop. Now, a lot of times when we see a diminished chord in a song, it's like, what do we do with that thing? Well, for one thing, there's really, I think the Locrian scale goes over it. There's really not a lot of scales that are scale ideas that we can use over a diminished chord. Especially as bass players, since you don't see them that often, you don't practice them that much. So I think that's an example of if you know the arpeggio to the diminished chord. Maybe we don't know every other note that goes with that chord, but we know the notes that are in that chord and we can utilize those things. So a lot of this is using what I would say in a situation like that, we have limited knowledge of the chord, but we're going to utilize everything that we can out of our limited knowledge of the chord. So that's a situation there where we can look at the notes in it and we can just try to imaginatively come up with some ideas. So we could go, we could play that flatted fifth in the line as we're playing it. We could wrong note. We could just arpeggiate the diminished chord, and it sounds cool. There's all sorts of different ways that we can arrange those notes in that arpeggio to come up with something neat. And basically what we do is we spend our time and we do this with every set of chord changes. We come up with different ideas, and then when we're on the bandstand and we find that hole where we can put a fill in, we have a bunch of ones we can throw in. Now, I advise you to not do this on every chord change like I did, and you got to be careful about overplaying. We can't forget that we are bass players, right? We're in a supportive role. And when we start becoming the melodic instrument, sometimes we fall out of that role that we're supposed to be in. And somebody needs to be filling that role. Somebody needs to be filling the bottom end up. And that's our primary job. But it's definitely, I think it adds to the music when the bass player can add to the tones of the chords that are being played. They can embellish those things. So, if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Thanks again for subscribing. Bye.